guys. Give me just 1 second. Did not get that countdown. All right, guys. Good afternoon, future Vanguards. We are welcoming you today to the VITREUS AMA. My name is Jaren, and I am the Director of Public Relations for VITREUS. I am joined today by our entire core team as we share our vision for VITREUS and answer any questions the community may have. Before we begin, I want to take a moment to give a little introduction to our company. VITREUS is a financial services digital ecosystem that uses a no tax income coin to secure a permissioned financial services distributed ledger. Our vision is to power the future of financial services sector, building a digital ecosystem for the next generation of financial management. Our mission is to bring secure, scalable digital infrastructure solutions to the financial services sector as well. Now I'm going to turn it over to our CEO, Chad Justice. Chad, take it away.
Good afternoon, Vanguards. We are finally here. It has been a long 2 months, but also a short 2 months. I'd like to start off today by just giving recognition to this team who has been working so incredibly hard to take a blank canvas and turn it into a working and market accepted product. So we are very excited to address that with you today. We're going to spend the majority of today answering your questions. We've been doing what I call a data dump on you this weekend. So we know you are going to come today with the heat and bring a lot of questions, seeking clarity around white paper topics and video topics. And for those of you who are here from the Reflex ecosystem, I'm sure you're going to have questions around the conversion topic as well. But I do want to say thank you to this team. They work incredibly hard. We are fully doxed now. We are transparent. We are out here in front of you, ready to be answering questions and providing you clarity and transparency to the fullest. I'm going to go through the team real quick and just explain how we all fit together, because we all bring our specialties and our disciplines to the table as a super, super strong team ready to deliver a high quality product to you and bring tremendous value to you as an ultimate coin holder. We've obviously got Jaren at the front. She's our face. She stays out in front of the community at all times. She does a fantastic job of fielding questions and providing a frontline customer service function to you as the community. We've got my right hand, Brenton Ty, who is our chief operations officer. He is behind the scenes, just working as a hammer, working with all the various team members, making sure everything is fitting together like a puzzle. We've got a newcomer to the team, my friend Tim Benedict from Indiana. He brings a very interesting perspective and level of experience to the team around his corporate experience. He's been working with a number of corporate, from startup to large billion-dollar corporations, and brings a tremendous level of experience to us, ultimately on taking what we build and taking it to market. So I want him to spend a little bit of time just talking high level about his vision on how we get this to market and turn it into a cash flow machine. We've got Baron, who is our German team member. He is our chief marketing officer and brings a tremendous level of experience around the marketing. As y'all may have seen in the socials, we've got a very, very extensive marketing plan that is multi-phased, centered around our seed efforts, centered around our venture capital efforts, centered around making sure both of our pre-sale rounds are effective, and then ultimately taking this product to our end user market, which is the financial firms. So he has built out a very comprehensive marketing plan that we're currently in the process of executing on. We've got Taylor, who we call the mastermind on the team, and he's the one that listens to us and all of our ideas and goes and works every hour of the day, it seems like, and draws amazing whiteboard pictures and translates all of this into a lot of the document copy that y'all have been reading within the white paper. Tremendous asset to the team, and serves as sort of a hybrid role between the technical side of things and the big vision management side of things. So he's a tremendous asset to the team, and very involved with a lot of what y'all have been reading within the white paper. Then we've got Gabe, who is our technical guy. He's behind the scenes. He's working with his 4 kids right now, so he's off screen and off audio right now. But if we need him, we'll pull him out of that silence and get some technical expertise from him if we need to answer any of those questions. So that's our core team. We've got plans to build out and branch from those functions, but we've assembled from what I see a very, very competent, very high work ethic team to be able to deliver for everybody within the community. The last 2 months have been fun. They've been tiresome. They've been exciting. We've gone through the process of spending every single day, many days, more than 12 hours together at all times. We wake up, we go to sleep, we're working in between, trying to make what was in our minds and our vision a reality. So from Thanksgiving, I think was around the time when I came on as the guest speaker on the last AMA till now, we've gone through tremendous growing and tremendous development to get what you saw yesterday or Friday onto into your minds as the community. I want to talk about the timeline today, specifically conversion details, seed round details. I want to give a little insight around the venture capital process, and then talk about ultimately the launching and the staking that immediately follows that launch. And then we'll follow up with Tim giving a high-level vision on taking this all to market, what I call the go-to-market strategy. So specifically speaking on the conversion, anyone who was acquired in the Reflex acquisition will go through a process of conversion from their old Reflex coins over to what we call an intermediary NFT voucher, where they'll hold this voucher in wallet after conversion and ultimately receive, once the VITREUS coins are ready for dissemination, they'll receive those via airdrop back into their wallet. Until then, you'll hold an NFT in wallet. And throughout that time frame, there's a number of really cool things we can do with those NFTs while they sit in your wallet. I'm going to ask Taylor later to talk a little bit about some general ideas that we've been brainstorming on how these can ultimately keep the community engaged, keep things interesting during the period of build. So that conversion is currently in process. We're about 90% complete with that DApp. Or what we're calling a widget inside of our team. That is almost ready to launch. We've got one little thing we're fixing there. Gabe has assured us that that is going to be done probably today. We're going to want to spend all day tomorrow testing this and making sure it is perfect and there's no errors or anything as we roll that out to you. Gabe said, go ahead and tell everybody on Tuesday. So let's put the pressure on Gabe now to follow through and make sure that we can get there and deliver on that time frame. But I would expect Tuesday as being ready to get in there and get to the widget and begin those conversions. I'm going to be the guinea pig. I'm going first, and I'm going to make sure that that is working, and we receive those NFTs all adequately, and nothing is going wrong with any of that process before we roll it out to you. So that conversion will likely begin Tuesday. That is our target. The seed round will begin on February 21st. That's when we'll open our seed round and begin selling NFT vouchers also to the general public. The minimum purchase for those NFTs, what we're calling the collaborator NFTs, those will have a minimum purchase of $1,000 and a maximum purchase of $100,000. That can be purchased with USDC ERC20 and also ETH. So we'll have two options as a currency for purchase of those NFTs. That will have 150 million coins available for that allocation specifically. I'm going to pull the screen up so I can share the breakdown of these allocations as I talk about them, and it'll make a little bit more sense for you as we talk through each one of these various allocations and for each one of these rounds. So the seed round at the top has 150 million coins allocated to it. It represents 15% of our total allocation. The opening price for that seed round is 2 cents. Again, there's a $1,000 minimum and 100,000 maximum. So that'll remain open for 4 weeks or until full. We're confident that will fill quicker than 4 weeks. Many have speculated and guessed that that will fill up very, very quickly. But we would be very happy with a fill within 1 to 2 days. Good chance that fills up quicker. Then that closes and we move forward into what we call our VC round, where we'll be meeting with venture capitalists about the concept and obtaining 3 to 5 equity partners on the software side of the business. They'll be investing and funding the software side to be able to generate development efforts around all of the product builds that you would have seen in the white paper. Then we'll enter what we call our pre-sale round, where we issue another set of NFTs. There will be 125 million coins allocated to this round. The price jumps again from 2 cents to 3 cents. So you'll see as we work through this time frame before we launch, we'll have a number of escalators in there to provide value to our original seed investors. So there's more or less a built-in rate of return that can be assumed that those investors receive before we launch. And you'll see we go from 2 cents on the seed round all the way up to 4 cents, which is where our pre-sale 2 round will open. Pre-sale 2 will work a little bit differently. It'll differ from pre-sale 1 and seed round in the sense that it will be what we call a market maker round, where we open at 4 cents and then we'll have a flow of buy pressure coming into that round that will increase that price as we move through and fulfill that pre-sale 2 allocation. So we don't know yet what we end that round at from a pricing standpoint. I know we've got one member there who really wants to know, but we do not know and we're not comfortable sharing what we think that will look like because it can differ on rate and swiftness of sellout of that round. But we end up somewhere higher from 4 cents, which is where we're going to open that pre-sale 2 round at. You can see here we've got a number of other pools of allocated coins. Liquidity is going to be very conservative at 15% or 150 million coins. We're going to hold treasury allocation within the business of 130 million. That's 13%. We've got a team allocation of 5%. That's 50 million. That's going to be broken up between the 7 core team members. And we're also going to have a reserve left over to be able to recruit and bring new team members on using those team allocations. Then a big one here is going to be in an effort for future growth, and that's our acquisitions pool. This is the wallet or pool, sorry, that is going to be allocated towards the Reflex acquisition. So I've had a lot of questions come in on the socials that ask, is this part of the seed round? This is completely, the Reflex deal is completely separate from the seed round. The seed round will occur, like I said, for 4 weeks starting February 21st. The Reflex fold-in will go into this acquisition allocation. So there's no rush on this Reflex acquisition. You're going to have 3 weeks to cull through all of this data that we've been feeding you this weekend, and make a good decision without having to feel disadvantaged or in a rush to get in front of somebody else. So take your time. You'll have your chance to make a very comfortable decision on how you want to proceed and whether you want to convert. At the end of the 3-week period, we will close that conversion and we'll move all of our efforts and focus back into making sure the seed round is successful moving forward. And then, as you probably read in the white paper, we've got staking that is going to be a big value add as we move forward and develop and issue this coin out to the community. Staking is going to take the form of 2 different phases. The first phase is going to be an accumulation phase where you will stake your coins and you will receive back, just like you've done with the Reflex or other projects in the past, you'll receive back coins of VITREUS. So you will accumulate additional coins of VITREUS in phase 1 of staking. And depending on how long you stake that, you'll receive a different percentage APR back on the accumulation. Then we've also got a phase 2, which is very different from any of the other projects that you've been aware of in the past. Phase 2 is what we call our income phase of staking, where we make a move from accumulating additional coins over to receiving income paid out in stablecoin. So once we move into phase 2, the driver, the catalyst behind that changeover is going to be when the businesses begin making money. So when the businesses begin making money, generating revenue, 3% of the top line gross revenue will go towards that staking pool, and we will pay the committed stakers for generating stability and computing power within the blockchain. That is how we turn this into an income coin ultimately. This is very different from many of the reflection coins that have been around in the past. So normally you've generated revenue through volume. As buyers and sellers come in, there's a tax generated as on the buys and all of the sells. Portion of that goes to paying rewards, reflections out to the token holders. That's how we've been accustomed to generating income on a cryptocurrency. That changes here. We switched this over to a different method of income generation as a function of businesses and real world case use that are generating revenue, that are funding the income to the coin holders. And we have a number of ways we get around securities definitions in order to remain compliant to be able to generate this cash flow over to the coin holder. And I'll spend a little bit of time down the road on that, and Brenton will come in and probably share some light on that as well. But the income generation phase is going to be why we want to hold this coin in the end. We're building a software company. We're building a blockchain as a service company with products overlay that generate revenue and generate subscription fees to our users. And our users are those financial firms, the registered investment advisors, the small banks and the credit unions, ultimately the insurance carriers, the tax shops, the broker dealers, anybody under a regulatory environment that needs a secure network with compliance related functions is going to be interested in becoming a user of our blockchain. That is ultimately how we generate revenue on the software side. Then we roll out new products and we put those onto the blockchain and we make them available to our user. So we make what we call an app store. That's Taylor's product that he calls Emporium, where other users can come onto the blockchain and build their own products and put them into the store for other users to be able to subscribe to. Then we've got Acquiesce that Taylor describes as the parts store, where it's a library of modules that users can come on and access and assemble into their own products that go into Emporium. There's going to be a number of ways we can generate and monetize this network and product system that ultimately benefits and carries over to the benefit of the coin holder. It's very important how we monetize this ecosystem moving forward, because that is going to be what gets us through tough periods within the crypto markets. Right now, we're in a tough period. Last year was really tough. Everybody knows that. Volume fell apart. Income fell apart. Reflections fell apart. The whole system broke down. So what is needed to fix that is you need a component funding the income that's not tied to the markets. The businesses are real world businesses serving real world markets that generate real world revenue. And that revenue is what funds the income to the coin holder. Very big difference. So go-to-market strategy is going to be really important. Tim is a really smart guy. He's bringing big-time corporate experience to the table here. Tim, welcome. Thank you for joining us. He actually starts full-time February 1st. So we appreciate him coming in. I know he's been working behind the scenes on just preparing a go-to-market strategy. But Tim, can you introduce yourself, maybe talk a little bit about your past and talk about this go-to-market strategy? Tim, I think you're on mute.
You had to do the one of us had to do the mute during the broadcast. It's just it's a stereotype that has to, and a tradition that has to be continued. No, greetings, everyone. It's an honor to be a part of this community. Very grateful to be here and very excited to fulfill this very important role. A little bit about myself is I've been in IT consulting since 2008. I've been in the industry for about 20 years. I've held various roles from infrastructure to cloud. And over the past 5 years, I've been very heavily involved in the transformation space, predominantly with the hyperscalers and just applications and data. So I'm very much looking forward to helping diversify, as Chad stated, our ability to provide income and value to this go-to-market strategy. So on our side, I want to talk about a little bit around what we're seeing to help balance out, when the crypto market does do its ups and downs, there is going to be some, as he said, some stable revenue coming in. So some compelling events in the market on the corporate side that we're going to get into these deeper. As I said, being transparent with what we're building and what we're seeing is going to be very important to the investment community. But at a high level, we're seeing basically two very high profile, what we call digital disruption opportunities. The first is in identity itself. Identity just being, how does corporate America, how does the UK, how does EMEA, how are these large organizations handling the validity and validation of somebody's identity? And it's becoming very, very hard to do, as we saw in during COVID, of the significant rise in synthetic identity fraud and these different sources of traditional validation, which would be an address or a utility bill. So these are very, very important aspects that these financial companies are struggling to tackle. So we see by 2030 the identity space increasing from about 16 billion to about 70 billion in the total addressable market, which is a very strong aspect of the challenge that we are actually helping these companies solve with the VITREUS infrastructure. And it's through different areas of ledger and compliance, but at a high level, we will be able to help these companies very easily and very elegantly solve these issues without these heavy software integrations, these long implementation cycles. The fact that we are a SaaS offering, a software as a service, and we can do lightweight integration very, very quickly is a huge advantage. And we're very focused on in-user experience and customer, just the interface. So it's meant to really help that adoption. And the much bigger piece is blockchain itself. So a lot of corporations are struggling with just the architecture experience. So in other words, the ability to take something as powerful as blockchain and figure out how to implement that within their organization, right? So how do you prepare for blockchain? By understanding the sweeping scope of its capabilities. How do you perform a scenario planning, assuming the eventual blockchain maturity and technology, that's exactly what we're bringing, right? We're bringing this very mature, infrastructure. And then, the scope and the staff allocated for just the blockchain involved is a massive undertaking. So by 2025, blockchain itself will grow from about a $60 billion total addressable market to $176 billion. And by 2030, it will be, and this is a real number, $3.1 trillion. And a lot of those areas are going to start in the financial sector. You're going to see compelling events coming out of the federal agencies in the United States. There's already been legislation in the UK and EMEA around biometric processes and transparencies around customer due diligence, enhanced due diligence, KYC, compliance, data privacy, data transparency. And I'm dropping a lot in this conversation, but I want to really just hone in on the fact that we will be able to very elegantly go in, have these wonderful conversations with these smaller entities, whether it's a credit union, as Chad said, the RIA market, insurance carrier market, and they're going to want to adopt this very, very quickly. So we are ahead of the market. Being ahead of the market is very, 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 very important. And our ability to do the digital disruption profiles are very significant as well. So I'm excited that we've got the vision. I think that the VC community is going to be very open to this. I think that blockchain maturity, the fact that we have a SaaS, our ledger, and our infrastructure, guys, is a very large differentiator for us. We're not beholden to traditional networking. We are a next generation Web3 company natively, which is a very hard thing to do when you're trying to transform your company from traditional. And more importantly, traditional cybersecurity platforms are very expensive. They are very fragmented. And if you look at anything from security edge to SASE, they're just not effective. We've never seen not just this level of identity theft. This is leading to actual loss of revenue. And so there's some very big compelling events in the market that I'm excited to bring. So with that, I will hand this over, and I'm looking forward to furthering explain what all this means. But I'm excited to be here, and I'm very honored to take the CTO role. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Tim. As you all can see, Tim does know what he's working with and what he's talking about. Highly intelligent, and he knows the technology space forwards and backwards. Tim is going to be overseeing the software build out and go to market side of the business. And so while maintaining oversight and dealing with the development team on the blockchain initiative, he's already working on the other side on the softwares and the product build out and the go-to-market, the monetization of the business, more or less. But as you see the potential in the future for blockchain implementation within the real world space is absolutely huge. Anybody that's been following me, I've made some big changes in my career. This past week, it was official. I carved off my brokerage channel of the business in an effort to have freedom in pursuing this digital side into the crypto, into the real world application of blockchain. And so my commitment is there. I'm all in on this idea. I see the potential for the future. If we're able to execute this correctly, there's no doubt this is a multi-billion dollar idea. The market is there.
It is. I agree, Chris.
Being first to market is there. And if we execute it correctly, we're gonna crush this thing. So thanks, Tim. Appreciate you being here today. You may get some questions here later in the show on some specifics on how we get to market, how we manage products, how we build out departments moving forward. And we welcome those questions because I know he's ready for that detail.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Let's see what else. I think that's all I had as a pre-discussion ahead of taking questions. I intended on today being a community involvement type of a show. Before we move into the Q&A, Brenton, is there anything that you want to bring and add?
No, I think you've touched base on everything. I'm excited to touch base with the community, answer these questions. I know in Discord, Twitter, TG, we've had a lot of questions come in, and we keep pushing everyone to the AMA so we can kind of collectively do this. Super excited to jump into here. So thanks. Let's
Excellent.
do it.
Yep. Thanks, Brenton. Jaron, I'm going to turn it back over to you, and you can facilitate some of this community interaction.
Yeah, so if you guys have questions that you would like answered by the team, if you will drop them in the chat, we can see them. I think we have eyes on all of the live streaming channels, so Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. So if you'll drop it in the chat, we will get those answered. We'll put them up on the screen. We've already got a few that have come in. Let's start with this one from Jason. Chad, can you tell us about your success in the financial sector and how this vision and need came about?
Sure, Jason. I'll start and do the quick little 17-year run up. 17 years ago, actually 19 years ago, I graduated from Baylor University. I've got a degree in finance and entrepreneurship from Baylor University in Texas. I started as a financial advisor straight out of school, and quickly worked my way up in that first company I worked with, which is Ameriprise Financial. I was their top first-year advisor in the company. I was ready to spread my entrepreneurial wings pretty quickly, and so I was able to take my clients from Ameriprise and start Collaborative Wealth, which many of you know is my traditional finance arm of the Collaborative organization. And I started out of my house, got the company up and running, and began meeting with clients, and figured out really quickly that the best way to grow the business was going to be to pursue acquisitions. So I started working with some brokerage houses that connect buyers and sellers of financial firms, and was able to find my first deal. I was living in Dallas, Texas at the time, and the first acquisition opportunity that came along was in Orlando, Florida. So we were a great fit. We ended up moving forward and closing that acquisition. And I commuted for a while, and the 2008 recession hit. Everybody remembers that one. It was pretty rough. And my clients wanted me there in Orlando full time. So I picked up and I moved to Orlando and made big moves, and made sure that my clients remained happy. From there, we had a really successful acquisition that I wanted to replicate over and over again. So we started getting out and looking for the acquisitions opportunities, and started doing those pretty aggressively. I created an initiative or a program called Advisor Retire, and I wrapped it up with nice branding and put a silver bow around it, and started marketing it to independent advisors as a succession planning program. And so they came to me as the succession planning expert, who was able to bring a plan to them in getting out of the business into retirement. And I did that a lot of times. And that's how I was able to grow the firm. Personnel came through those acquisitions, but I also hired a lot of people in addition as well. So when I say I know I have a good team here at VITREUS, I know that from experience, because I've hired and I've worked with a lot of people over the years. So acquisitions was the mechanism that allowed for our hyper growth on the traditional finance side. We began to expand our services into wealth management from just plain investment management and wealth planning. And we were bringing estate services to the table. We started offering insurance services. And as of today, we've got a comprehensive financial offering for our high value clients. So I would say, in what led up to the success of Collaborative Wealth being built out into what it is today, I would say acquisitions was that main driver. And acquisitions brings a hyperspeed growth component to the build out that I'm also wanting to replicate on the VITREUS side. So you can see back on the what I had up earlier.
Oh, hang on.
Here again, you can see towards the bottom, we've got one of the allocated pools of coins called acquisitions. I haven't seen it. I'm not sure if it's been done before, but we've taken a chunk of our circulating supply and reserved that to build acquisition capabilities into how we build community out moving forward. Reflex is going to take down, we're thinking, plus or minus around 50 million of those coins. So we'll still have an allocation available to pursue more acquisition deals moving forward, but that's going to be a really important driver. Just like I executed it on the traditional side, we're going to want to execute a very similar build-out strategy around acquisitions on the digital side as well. So a lot of what we've done that has led to success on the traditional side, we're going to replicate on the digital side as well. So there was a two-part in that question. What was the second part?
Let's see. Tell us about your success and how this vision and need came about.
How the vision and need came about. I started investing in crypto actually with Brenton a number of years ago, and he's done way better than I have, but that's where I started to develop an affinity towards this digital space as the wave of the future. And I did it in an amateur way, and I just kind of dibble and dabbling in the digital side. I got aggressive with it about a year and a half ago, and started learning everything I could possibly learn around the digital space and blockchain. And what I was finding was the applications of blockchain were very elementary, in my opinion. There was no crossover into real world application, where I saw this ultimately being infrastructure that could be used by all companies in a number of different ways. And, became a topic of conversation among me and my friends on, blockchain. This is the future. It's going to fit somehow. How can we utilize this and take advantage of this technology? And in what way could we do that? So, I've been mulling over these ideas for a couple of years now. Really in the last year, I've been streamlining this and focusing this back towards what I know on the traditional finance side. I've been talking to Brenton for the last year, we need to do something collaborative. We need to do something collaborative. He's like, no, I've got this Reflex thing going on. I'm going to, spend my time there and make sure that's a success. And, but he came to us in November and said, Chad, it's time to go. You ready to go? And I said, let's do it. And so we started to sit down. He goes, I've got a team. I said, I've got a couple people I want to bring together too. And we meshed these people together into one team with complementary disciplines and capabilities, and started refining our vision and applying what we ultimately wanted this to look like for our community and our investors. So that's where we're at. And what better way to roll something out than in your own field of business, and being able to use your mature business as a guinea pig to make sure that it works and proof of concept is there. So we've already started to work within the collaborative traditional side in identifying what our tech stack looks like, what our total costs look like, where we can start to take some of the tech stack and whittle it away and pull it into the blockchain functions, and where our cost savings are going to look like. If we can figure out what that looks like to a T, and we can translate that over into percentage cost savings, our story and our sell for Tim on the rollout, the go-to-market side is going to be very easy. So the power of having a case study in place and the benefits being real benefits recognized is a very, very strong storyline on how we ultimately get adoption taking place on the end user market.
Chad, can I add to that just briefly?
Sure.
So I would say that you could reasonably argue that the market crashes caused by corrupt players could have easily been avoided if everybody had been using decentralized finance where no single party had control. So I think you look at another market event that will drive the corporate adoption side is you're seeing a compelling event based on corruption that is going to drive a more mature behavior. So we will definitely be taking advantage of that with our differentiators and our messaging, and some of these co-selling partnerships with the hyperscalers. So you'll see us in alignment with AWS, Google, and Microsoft as well, because they will be looking at marketplace partners for that. But I would say that if you haven't looked at some of the recent studies out after FTX, I think everybody would agree that the market crash was largely due to corruption and not just the immaturity of the product itself. So the need for it is out there. I think everybody's a little shook, but coming into this go-to-market strategy with this infrastructure, and to Chad's point, being able to show that maturity with functional demos and architectures and speak that alignment, I think is going to be very good for not only the VC community, but some initial critical upfront onboarding of new customers and clients.
Great. Wonderful. There's a question here that...
Hey, don't get out of turn. I got
sorry.
Got them lined out.
Aaron's keeping me in line. Good.
Okay, so just so we don't miss anybody, because we don't want to miss anybody. The next question is about talking about how to opt in. That's really simple. Like we mentioned earlier, on Tuesday, we're anticipating having a widget on our website, reflexfinance.com. You'll go on, connect your wallet, say that there'll be a couple disclosures that you realize what you're doing. You're converting your tokens. You'll connect, hit convert, and you'll receive an NFT in your wallet. There is no fee, like a token tax related to converting. The only fee that'll be associated is just the standard gas fee for BNB. So it's going to be really simple. There'll be a walkthrough. We'll probably put up a walkthrough in our socials, so that way people who are uncomfortable can come and speak to our moderators, our admins. We can walk you through. If you have any issues, you can reach out. But we do anticipate it being a very simple process, and the only fee will be the gas fee.
I did want to add real quick, Rabbit, to that while we're on that there is a 10% bonus for all the Reflex holders who convert, but that bonus is only for the original minter. So if you do end up selling this NFT on OpenSea to another user, that ends that 10% bonus. So if you keep this through the entire period until we launch our ledger, our blockchain, and you get airdropped new coins, you will receive the additional 10% bonus for this. You essentially are the first seed round, okay? Now, we do not get anything for this. I wanted to make that very clear. This is something that Chad and I came in together on how to take care of Reflex, and we don't get anything out of this, but doing what was right for you guys. So we understand it's a long period. It could be 8 to 10 months before we finally do launch, but we feel like we're going to create a lot of value that every holder will get out of this at the end of the rainbow. So, I'm sure if there's more questions on that, we'll answer them.
Okay, the next question is securities related. It says, how are you going to get past the Howey test and the current security laws?
Britton, you want me to start this? I'll jump into this one. It's important to have a strong legal team behind you, and not just one legal team, multiple legal teams, bringing different levels of experience and perspective to the table, because securities law is pretty clear, but digital asset law is not clear at all. And it's very gray, in fact. The SEC, and speaking more in terms of the US at this time, the SEC has yet to define all of the various digital assets and what they actually are. And you need a definition in order to pursue a path to registration, or you're just throwing things out there and hope they stick. So the registration process has become mind-numbingly expensive, because specifically in the US, you have to apply to every single individual state. Some will have 3, 4, 5 amendments back at different times. There's not a uniform registration process among all of the states. It can be drawn out for 1 to 2 years at a time in many cases. The process is mind-blowingly long and dead end-ish, if you will. So we're waiting on a definition from the SEC, and we're waiting for a path to registration. As soon as we get there, and I'm going to start with this, as soon as we get there, we have every intention on registering as a security and tying the coin ecosystem into the businesses as an equity partner. Think of it that way, because that backs me into defining security. Security is an equity component in a business that allows for participation in profits. And the way we're getting around this is per the council direction, if we're able to pay coin holders in a way that discriminates and it's paid for a specific function, then we can get around the securities definition. And the way we're doing that is you've got to be staked. We can't funnel profit from the company over and pay everybody. That would be a very clear definition of a security. You would have a financial interest in the profits of the business. So we're creating more of a royalty structure here. It's a top line revenue override arrangement over to a staking pool that doesn't apply to all coin holders. There will be people who have coins that are not staked that may be using them in more of a currency function or even a day trading function that aren't in the staking pool, that aren't privy to income participation. So if we're able to approach the structure that way, we're able to navigate some of these security definitions and at least get us to the road to where we've got a path and able to pursue registration with confidence and with efficiency. Brenton, you have anything to add?
No, beautifully said.
Okay.
I'm going to leave, maybe we can set up, down the road, I would like to set up different AMAs, which are more topic related. So, bringing on attorneys in those specific fields with us. We have, different sets of attorneys, for different topics and fields. And it would be pretty cool to bring on those experts to answer those questions that kind of pertain to securities law. We're not attorneys, so we can't sit here and definitively say how it's going to be done. But we have a roadway, a pathway for us to do all of that. And that's one thing I'm pretty excited for.
Absolutely. I think that's a brilliant idea. And I want to be very clear. I want this as a security. I want to be registered as a security. I want to marry traditional finance and digital finance together in the collaborative ecosystem. I can't do that right now. We don't have a clear enough path from the regulatory authorities on how to pursue that. It's a guessing game. We'd spend millions of dollars going down that path at this point. Nor do I think it's necessary. When the business starts generating revenue, then yes, we need to be prepared to begin looking at that. But until then, we've done it in a way, we're issuing the NFTs, vouchers, we're raising capital in a creative format. We're not tying in participation to profits. We're not securitizing the coin holders by equity in the businesses. We're not divvying out profit to all coin holders. We're doing everything other than what a security is defined as. So, but we will come to a point to where we are ready and confident in moving forward and registering. It's not time to do that yet.
Okay, our next question is, what is the purpose of the Treasury?
Brenton's got the experience in the operations, so why don't you handle this, Brenton?
It's a very simple answer, actually. For companies to grow in this space, you need additional coins and tokens for different exchanges. I know exchanges is probably another question, like what exchanges do you plan to grow into or apply for? We're going to be very, very specific. I will give you an idea that, we are in the process of a business Coinbase account for us to operate with Coinbase, but that does not mean that we'll list on Coinbase. But we're in the process, and it's been a lengthy process to to open up a business Coinbase account for this. So we're hopeful that that'll be completed so we can actually manage things properly. But think of it that way, that the treasury is to help grow and fund those exchanges as we grow in future endeavors. So we're very specific. We have acquisitions for acquisitions, and we have the treasury for exchanges, etc.
Okay, the next question is for Taylor. Taylor, are you comfortable sharing some of your ideas for community engagement during this build process?
Right now, we're still, mulling over exactly how we want to approach this, but we know that with the power of NFTs and your capital commitment being inside of the NFT, we are able to have different types of community engagement, maybe some kind of games, and other different aspects. So I have nothing firmly presentable at this time, but we do have a long list that I will be diving into very shortly. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we'll be able to share that with the community.
Awesome. Our next question is for Tim. Tim, is this platform CMMC certified for DoD contractor customers? Oh, you're
always muted. On mute. Yeah, so great question. So in 2021, the Department of Defense announced that they would provide CMCC reciprocity for any ISO 27001 or FedRAMP audit. We will be chasing FedRAMP as it is a more comprehensive compliance standard for DoD and the federal agencies. And honestly, with the executive order that Biden put out in early March of 2021, there's a lot more collaboration between the federal government and the private sector, which is we've seen a significant FedRAMP adoption within the private sector. So when we achieve FedRAMP, we will automatically get, like I said, the CMMC reciprocity. I can't say that word, but it's a cool word.
It's a big word. All right, let's see. Our next question is probably going to be for Brent or Chad. Is there a guesstimate on what the 3% of gross revenues repaid to stakers would look like? An example, 4 to 8% USDT. And the second question would be, is that figure of 3% fluid, and would it be adjusted over time?
Great questions. I don't think we're at a position yet to be sharing any details around numbers in the form of what I'll call royalties. We're working on projections now. Projections are going to be really important as we refine our pitch deck for the VC efforts. Britton and I are working on projections now. We're running 1, 3, 5-year forward-looking projections that requires we begin pricing a lot of our products and creating assumptions around volume and which will translate into total expectations, and we funnel those over and generate revenue expectations. We're in the process of working through all those things. Once we get there, we're going to be more than excited to share what we find with the community. We're just not ready to translate that into specific numbers at this point. 3% is a conservative start, by the way, and we're prepared to crank that up as we begin generating revenue and covering overheads and becoming a more mature second phase business. We'll be ready, and we are prepared to drive that number higher. We're starting conservatively at 3% to start, but as the business matures, that will relieve room for additional override percentage to be applied to the staking pool. Hopefully that helps, gives you some direction. I know it's going to leave an open end, but we'll communicate our projections as soon as we're ready.
All right, next question. Do you have an edge to get your foot in the door for these different businesses to use your services?
I think that's a great question. I'm constantly being invited to speak to conventions and groups of decision makers, and I've never wanted to engage because I don't have a convincing enough topic to generate interest in my mind. I'm not a big convention guy. But with the concept of a digital integration message and talking and setting the stage on the new modern digital era for financial services, that's going to draw a full crowd. I know it will. I know how all of our advisors think. They're going to be interested in this new way. How is this person integrating blockchain into what I do on a day-to-day basis? Most of them don't even know what blockchain is, let alone the benefits, the efficiencies, the cost savings, everything that can bring to them. The foot in the door is that I have a traditional finance business, and that we have invitations coming to us already to get out in front of people to begin creating awareness. If we're able to create awareness and we're not pushing a product, they're going to come to us wanting to know how they implement that level of awareness. So on the back end, we have an executable product that we're going to be ready to introduce to them once they show certain levels of interest. That's where Tim and Tim's team under him of digital integration consultants go and begin meeting with these prospective B2B users of the blockchain and start to roll out a customizable solution for adoption and maximization of all of our various technologies for their business. So we're going to become very intimately involved with these users and cross over to the blockchain availability, technology availability, and drive their adoption rates for them. We may even go in and do a lot of their document conversion from paper storage closets over to our digital storage solutions on the blockchain. Doing things for them is going to drive adoption rates. I know how these people work. They don't want to get involved and deal with finding somebody to scan all day or, what have you. If we can drive implementation for them, everybody will line up for adoption here.
Okay, so the next question is from Erwin, and I believe this is for Chad. It says, "Hi, Chad. Thank you for the acquisition. I have a lot of trust in you and the team. My question is, how will we raise the big seed and pre-sale rounds and find investors in this market?"
I think concept is number one. You've got to have a difference maker, real world case. If anybody's following me on Twitter, for example, I'm going to begin pushing real world case messaging, because everything that is out there is building what I call a happy meal of technologies that is all centered around just driving intercommunal activity. And it's not made available to the real world, which is where the real market is. So if you're able to figure out how to use this stuff in the real world and how to monetize it, it could be big. There's no one really doing that. There are protocols and whatnot out there. There are public chains to allow somebody to come in and build whatever they want on the chain. There's nothing like this specifically for a niche, specifically for real world solution implementation. That's the start of generating interest. Then marketing is going to be really important. So you can have the best widget in the world, but if no one knows about it, then there's no implementation or adoption. So Barron has been generating a really strong pre-seed blitz, we're calling it, where we're pushing on every chain possible, engaging with influencers. We just brought Travlad on. He's a good start in the Twitter space. Travlad has become more of an advisor function for us also. And so we're able to tap into his network and his know-how on the influencer space and drive us to other reputable influencers that will be able to get our story out in front of everybody. 3 million at the end of the day sounds like a lot, but it's not a lot on this blockchain raise. So we do expect it to go rather quickly. Everybody speculates the bots come in, and I want Brenton to kind of talk about that in a second, that the bots come in and we sell out in 2 seconds and no one can get in. And by the way, I've got money on the sidelines ready to go personally that I'm going to be putting in on this seed round. So I'm hoping the bots don't become a problem, but we're talking about some potential solutions on the other end if we need to. Britton, do you want to address the bot issue?
I mean, I feel like we set the seed cap to a fair number that although we're all optimistic, we're also in a bear market. I know how most projects and businesses raise capital in a bull market, but it's a little bit tougher in this market. But we're confident that we have a fairly large cap. But yeah, bots essentially is just they're faster, right? So if you don't have a high enough cap, they'll eat it up. So these are some things that we're kind of figuring out. If we do sell out extremely fast, that means that there is a lot of momentum into this business, which is exciting. And so we're gonna have to be flexible and fluid with a possible second seed, which will not be the same price as the first seed, but we'll figure something out that's fair for everyone.
Our lead dev, by the way, Britton, is telling me right now that he believes the bot issue is not really relevant. It's mitigated, is his word.
Okay.
Because we don't have a token. We have
Right.
an NFT sale going on, which is a very different mechanism than the bots that are built to acquire tokens quickly.
Yeah. So this is also very different. I have never, and again, I've been in this space 2017, and I bought in many businesses, many projects, and I've never done been part of an NFT slash token or coin pre-sale, which it's unique in itself, right? So I think Gabe just essentially answered the question for us. We're
Perfect.
good.
Thanks.
All right, let me get back. Okay, so our next question might be for Tim. It is, what edge do you have against financial subscription as a service companies? How many employees will work on the SaaS suites?
Yeah, so traditional versus potential, right? So when you look at different software suites that are have a high adoption rate in the traditional SaaS community today, they're not really changing how we're protecting or interacting with these technologies. So moving from an on-prem solution to a SaaS solution doesn't necessarily mean that you're providing any relevant change. I think that our differentiator, again, is also against traditional SaaS providers that are in the hyperscalers. So I think that we really are the next wave of digital disruption, and we have a significant advantage, even something that would be cloud native, whether it would be container based or even something that is in a PaaS or a SaaS in Microsoft, Google, or AWS. So I think that's going to be something that will be very interesting as we take this to market.
Awesome. Okay, our next question is, if I convert and then add more during the following seed and pre-sale rounds, will my 10% bonus be only on my initial conversion or the entire amount purchased?
Initial. So this is only for the reflex conversion. You will not get an additional 10% on anything you buy after. But the same NFT will accumulate. You won't get another NFT. But the 10% bonus will only be applied to what you convert. We're trying to reward those long-term holders who've stuck with us over a year. So whatever you had to convert, that's going to receive the additional amount.
Okay. So also another question in regards to the staking, is there a certain lock period for the new staking?
Let me pull that up. And I'll share the screen. All right. So I mentioned earlier, we've got a couple phases going on. First phase is going to be the accumulation phase. We'll have 5 different options for staking here. A daily liquid, a 1, 3, 6 month, and a full year commitment, each carrying its own different percentage APR for whatever term is chosen. So yes, there will be a lockup period for the accumulation. 12 months is the lockup period. The initial staking withdrawal tax is pretty heavy at 24%, but we've got a decay rate of 2% per month going on throughout the course of those 12 months. So 1 month in, we've got a 22% withdrawal tax. 4 months in, we've got a 16% withdrawal tax, and so on and so forth. So yes, there is a period of lockup for this accumulation. It's 12 months, but that tax will be decreasing as you move along in those 12 months. Same thing for the income phase. So as businesses generate revenue and we begin and transition over to the phase 2 income phase of the staking, that stake withdrawal tax will be 12% to begin. And then the lockup period is 6 weeks. So the decay rate will be 2% per 6 weeks over the course of those 6 weeks, 42 days. So hopefully, I think that was Pascal that asked that.
Yes. Okay, so I got 2 questions. One is directed to me. Says, I thought Jaron was all about DeFi. Yes, I am kind of a DeFi maxi. I do love the fundamentals of DeFi. But I also am about diversification. And if I can play a role in something that is more centralized, I would like to do so to see how that goes, see how it plays out, lend, my expertise and, my passion. And I really love this team and I believe in what they're doing. They're a great team. We have a lot of fun. We work really hard. So yeah, it's nice to try something new.
I'd like to expand on that. Can I?
Yeah.
The definition of decentralization and centralization is a pretty clear definition. Decentralization is about non-control. If there's someone in the middle and there's someone making decisions around how the ecosystem operates, it's not defined as decentralization. So in my opinion, 98% of these projects out there are centralized projects. They have a control mechanism in some way, shape, or form generating different components of the overall project. So the definition of centralization and decentralization is really an important one to me because it lays the foundation on how the structure of the whole company and project is built. So that, a lot of these smaller utility type projects have someone there who have the capability to change taxes, to halt trading, to generate control mechanisms overlay on the whole project. In my opinion, in my definition, that's not decentralization. That's not an autonomous operation. That is someone in the middle driving control mechanisms in the ecosystem. And that definition is really important because ultimately the vision here is to convert our company to a decentralized ecosystem, a true decentralized ecosystem. What that looks like in 5 to 10 years, I have no idea. The whole space is going to change by then, and I'm ready for that. But knowing the difference between centralization and decentralization is really an important one, I think, as we call a duck a duck.
Yes. Our next question is from Flower Child. It says, also, why the use of name of Vanguard, same name as a traditional finance company, and it implies an army? I would like to read you the actual definition of Vanguard. It is a group of people leading the way in new development or ideas, a position at the forefront of new development or ideas. We did put a poll in our Discord asking our community for ideas for, what they would like to be called. What did we want to describe the community as? One of our community members, Frizz, he threw out Vanguards, and we really like that it was kind of a visionary. We don't see it as an army. We see it as a group of people on the forefront who are visionaries. So that's why we picked that name. We thought it fit really well with Vitreous, and we love it for our community. We don't want to give off that army vibe. We are welcoming to all people into our community. That's very important to us. So yeah, we thought it was a cool name. The team collectively, when we heard it, we loved it. The next question is Coinbase. That is awesome. Have y'all thought about Robinhood?
We haven't really thought a whole lot about exchanges yet. We've been in development around our concept and our product design and generating a vision that is material and communicated to the community clearly. That's what we've been working on up to this point. The back end distribution and market breadth generation efforts are going to come. We just haven't really put a whole lot of thought into any exchanges that we want to be a part of. I'm not sure we want to yet, but we'll work as a team to determine how we want to do that.
Okay, the next question is, will the 3% of revenue, gross revenue shared in the staking in the future, will that be of monthly gross revenue, yearly? Do we have an idea?
Yeah, Britton and I have talked about it. That will require some accounting and reconciliation efforts that will require manpower. So we're thinking right now that'll be a quarterly activity. If we get the right management mechanisms in place and the right reconciliation processes in place, it might turn out to be a monthly thing. But at this point, quarterly is a safe assumption. Okay.
The next question is why the reason for moving to Ethereum? And there's some expansion on that, so go ahead.
Yeah, we're not moving to ETH at all. The NFTs, however, that we're selling are on the ETH blockchain, but it's just a placeholder. You know, we're building our own ledger, our own blockchain, and our intent is to have it completed. And when you actually get your coin, you're getting it off of our own blockchain. So there will never be any trading on Ethereum unless we bridge and expand that down the road further. So we are not launching on ETH.
Okay. The next question is, can you speak to the blockchain timeline? Has it been started? And if not, how do you plan to build it so quickly?
Taylor, you want to jump on this?
I can try. So conceptually, yes, the blockchain has been started. We're working on building out the teams that are required. We're looking at the milestones in order to achieve our minimum viable product. We are looking into the technical strategy, which is on the backs of myself, Tim, and Gabe. And right now we will be leveraging existing frameworks such as Substrate to utilize a rapid deployment of our initial. It gets hard. This is more of a Gabe question. I'm doing my best.
Gabe, can you come out of childcare and help us out here?
There you go.
Yeah. Hey everyone. Sorry, I'm kind of getting over a cold here. So we're going to be using existing open source tools for the blockchain. We're not going to try to reinvent the wheel here. We will be expanding upon Substrate, which is the foundation for Polkadot. We explored a couple others too, but ultimately we landed on Substrate. One of the main reasons why was the software language it uses, and specifically when it comes to what we plan on doing with document storage for these financial firms. So the blockchain itself, as far as like layer one is concerned, could be stood up in the matter of minutes. Sorry, I'm watching all four kids in the middle. But so that's how we would, anyone, as we can see from last year, was able to just spin up a blockchain. You have the likes of Phantom and Avalanche, and all they are is just many forks of an existing blockchain, and those are usually already vetted and used. So in this case, we aren't going to try to reinvent something that's already currently working.
Awesome. We'll go with that. Give me a sec. I am shifting through questions to see. Will there be a link to watch the seed round sales?
We haven't talked about it yet. Having a link directly for that. We've talked about it being housed on our website, and we'll be using quite a bit of our already generated code through the acquisition of the Launchpad, from the Reflex acquisition, a couple modifications on some of that code to work within our ETH NFT environment. But I think we'll certainly have some sort of a dashboard available for you to be able to monitor metrics specifically to the progress of the seed round.
Okay, so our next question is, a lot of projects rely on a small percentage of the taxes generated for working capital, marketing, advertising. What was the reason to eliminate any tax structure that could generate revenue for the project?
I'm sorry, read that again. You were breaking up for me.
Sorry. A lot of projects rely on a small percentage of taxes to generate working capital for marketing, advertising, etc. What was the reason to eliminate a tax structure that could generate a revenue for the project?
We want a free-flowing ecosystem. First of all, we had two purposes for this coin, rather than a lot of projects who use two coins for different purposes, one investment, one for a native securing central currency type coin. We wanted one coin to fit both functions. And so by marrying the revenue carryover to the staking pool and having a no tax environment on that coin, we were able to serve two different functions using the same coin. So we wanted to keep it simple. We didn't want to have two different coins with two different cap raise launch efforts. And by doing it this way, we're able to accomplish both. So we want buys and sells free flowing, no borders, no boundaries. And we don't need that. We don't need the volume to generate our revenue. We've got companies with business products that generate the revenue that allow us to operate. So the percentage take on volume or the tax isn't necessary for us to continue operations. Hopefully that helps.
Yeah, especially if we have two ways to raise capital. If you raise the capital, you don't need to charge a tax to holders to trade. We believe in free markets, and we also believe in proper budgeting. So once we go through these raises, there shouldn't be any reason for that. We believe we'll build something that will transition to businesses using that, which is generating revenue, which will feed the company and the business.
Yeah, right. I see Safe Moon Doug causing a little stir in the comments. I'd appreciate it if he doesn't do that. So thanks, Doug.
We have a great question from John. What percentage of your IT budget at Collaborative Wealth do you expect VITREUS to be able to take over?
Not sure I understand the question.
So what percentage of your IT budget, so like things that VITREUS would be able to cover, how much of that do you expect?
What percentage of your IT budget at Collaborative do you expect VITREUS to be able to take over?
Yes. So say
I think he means Collaborative Wealth.
Yes. Yeah. So like say you spend XYZ amount on, all your technology, how much of that would you expect VITREUS to be able to take on?
To replace. Got it.
Yes, correct.
We're thinking, so our tech stack runs at about $300,000 a year. And we're thinking we're going to be able to replace a number of those tech stack functions and get our overall tech stack cost down to about $100,000. 50 of that being a payment to VITREUS for the infrastructure use. So quite a bit of cost savings to the tune of 60, 70% savings, while still being able to generate revenue over to the blockchain environment.
Awesome. Let me see. I'm going through someone just said, keep Jaren on the team forever. Let's see. Going through questions, see if we have anything. I think that is it for all of our questions. We are running at about an hour and 15 minutes. Does anybody else from the team have something that maybe they missed or would like to wrap up with before we come to a close?
I don't think I have anything outside of just a general closing in the form of I appreciate everybody's confidence in sticking with us from Reflex. I know that has been a very challenging transition. It was a rough year for Reflex throughout the last year. First half of the year was very exciting. Second half of the year was really pretty rough. A lot of changes, a lot of changeover in leadership. So y'all being open and welcoming me into that environment is certainly appreciated from my side. I'm bringing a big vision. I'm bringing a real world case use here. And the confidence from the community and the engagement from the community means a lot to me. So I do appreciate that. We do have one more question around acquisitions, short-term strategy or long-term, that I think I do want to address, if that's okay, Jaren.
Yes, go ahead.
Great question. Short-term strategy, we're in a period of pain within the market, and a lot of projects are under significant pressure, very similar to Reflex in the final months of its operations, where the resources have dwindled, the ability to continue to develop and roll out new products has virtually gone away. A lot of projects sit out there stale, stalled out with good, high quality team members and developed utilities that can be repurposed into different functions in a healthy environment. So from a short-term standpoint, we're already looking, and we're actually already engaged in a number of conversations to take advantage of those opportunities for what I call roll-up. It's an acquisition type of a approach, but it's a roll-up where we take, very similar to Reflex, we take a good chunk of the team and we infiltrate them into our existing operation and use them for their expertise in new areas. If they're able to bring and expand expertise of the team into different spaces, or take on a new product, function, or build out. For example, there's a team that we're looking on bringing in to work specifically with the launch pad and repurposing the launch pad that Reflex had already built and turning that into a securities launch pad where we are able to bring development projects in and tokenize those assets and walk them through a registration process where we go and we register them as a security and we tokenize their assets as a third exit option in the market. For example, a building, and this is a very elementary example, taking a building and turning it into a security and selling tokens against that building so everybody can hold, in essence, an interest of the building. You can do that in businesses. So financial firms have books of business that you can sell. I just sold my brokerage book. There's markets out there where buyers and sellers come together to buy financial firms and buy financial practices. Those practices are assets. The assets can be tokenized. They can be turned into a token that we can sell and securitize using the Launchpad on our blockchain. So we've got a team that we're talking with that we'd like to roll in and take over the Launchpad build out. So short-term efforts around taking distressed projects who are on the verge of failure and taking good utilities and technology and taking good people and experts in and folding all of that into our existing ecosystem is going to be really valuable in the short term. From the long-term standpoint, we're going to get in and actually start to look at acquiring true software businesses where we can go buy software companies and fold in a centralized type architecture around their software products and turn them into blockchain-oriented products and repurpose them in that format. So great question. I wanted to make sure we touched on that because the short-term and the long-term aspect of acquisitions is there. We never want to abandon that effort. We'll just want to pivot towards a little bit different market in how we approach the acquisitions. Great question.
So we have one last question that is very important to our friend and YouTuber Jay. In-N-Out or Whataburger?
I've had In-N-Out once, and I hate to admit that. I'm from Texas, so I know Whataburger forwards and backwards. I'm going to go with Whataburger on this one.
Yes, the answer is Whataburger. All right. I don't see any other questions. I think we're good to go. Does anybody else besides Chad have anything they want to add really quick?
I'll just say that I wanted to personally thank you, Chad. You didn't have to go all in on this with me. You know, your passion to do right and to, you know, grow this business I haven't seen in many people. So I just wanted to thank you again for jumping in on this and kind of saving the day essentially. But thank you. Also want to thank the Reflex community. As Chad said, this has been an extremely long year. Feels like it's been, 10 years. But I'm excited to end this chapter and to welcome you all as a Vanguardian. So thank you.
Awesome. Anyone else?
I'm just so happy to be on the ride.
Yes, yes, indeed. Well, thank you guys for coming today. This is recorded. It will be saved to the Reflex YouTube. It'll be on the VITREUS Facebook, Twitter, and it looks like LinkedIn. So you can go back and play it. You can share it with your friends. If you have any other questions that were not addressed today, we invite you to hop into the VITREUS Discord, and we can get you answered there. If you have any issues with converting, we invite you to reach out to a Reflex mod or admin. They can get you assisted. And we're all available on Twitter. If you have any questions you'd like to hear directly from the team, just reach out there and we will get you taken care of. Y'all have a wonderful day and thanks for coming.